Greetings on behalf of the Planning Accreditation Board, or PAB. This is the second in a series of 5 modules to explain in greater detail PAB's accreditation standards to prepare you for your role as a member of a site visit team. As we go through this module, you may stop the presentation at any time and start back up again. In fact, at various points I will ask you to pause so that you can carefully read text contained in the standards. Throughout this presentation, we encourage you to write down questions that come to you. If your question is not answered or you are confused about something in this module, please contact a member of PAB's staff and we will get back to you shortly with an answer. Accreditation standards are critical factors used to assess program quality and success. Each standard is supported by multiple criteria which provide specific detail on relevant aspects of the standard itself. Assessment of compliance is done at the individual criterion level. In this module, we will examine in detail Standard Number 2, Students. Please pause the presentation to read the introductory preamble to this standard. The Student Standard and its criteria are intended to ensure that planning programs are attracting qualified students and providing those students with the support and resources that will lead to success in the planning field. In particular, this standard addresses a program's student admission standards, academic support, support for student participation in the planning field, and student diversity. There are 4 criteria within the student standard. Let's address each one in turn. For each, we will review the text of the criterion, highlight PAB's expectations regarding compliance, and share some situations that may challenge that compliance. Examples are meant to illustrate situations that might be red flags for site visitors. They are not intended to serve as strict definitions of lack of compliance. Student quality is the first criterion within the student standard. Please pause the presentation to read this text. This criterion addresses whether a program has appropriate admission standards that ensure that students have the necessary background to succeed. These standards should be a combination of academic and non-academic criteria that the program considers relevant and should be appropriate based on the program's missions, goals, and objectives. The criterion does not specify what the admission standards should be. Rather, it allows for the program to define its own standards based on the policies of the university in which the program is situated, as well as the program's own goals. Similarly, the criterion addresses the admissions process by requiring that the program demonstrate its standards are being applied in a fair and consistent manner. In the self-study report, a program should provide a brief, clearly articulated summary of its admissions standards and how they are applied. The admissions process may be specific to the program or may incorporate school or university-wide admissions practices, depending on the institutional structure and whether the degree in question is at the undergraduate or graduate level. The program should also provide evidence of the extent to which its current students meet or exceed these standards. The following 2 examples describe situations that could be viewed as challenges to meeting this criterion. 1. The program's admissions standards are missing key indicators of educational attainment, such as minimum bachelor's degree GPA. 2. The program does not collect data on admitted students' achievement of key standards. Student diversity is the second criterion within the student standard. Please pause the presentation to read this text. Planning programs should enroll students who come from a variety of backgrounds and who reflect the diversity of populations that a professional planner will serve. Preparing students for the diverse world they will experience requires that they learn in diverse classrooms. This criterion places emphasis on the program's commitment to achieve diversity in its student body. In particular, to demonstrate compliance, the program should provide a clear definition of diversity, as it is relevant to the program's mission, goals, and objectives, and should set clear goals to achieving the kind of diversity that it considers appropriate. Diversity can be defined in different ways, based on a program's unique mission and circumstances. Although racial and ethnic diversity is the most commonly recognized element of diversity, the program may incorporate other elements of diversity that are relevant and appropriate, such as gender, socioeconomic status, or sexual orientation. That is what the criterion means by diversity not being a static concept. However, a program's goals for diversity should be consistent with the overarching goal of the standard to enhance opportunities for underrepresented groups. The program should also demonstrate that it has a well-defined plan for improving diversity and is actively making efforts to attract a diverse student body. The program should provide clear actions it is undertaking to achieve its diversity goals. This may include outreach to diverse communities, focused recruitment efforts, and collaboration with other institutions. The program should collect demographic data and have mechanisms to measure the effectiveness of these strategies, and will report the composition of the student body in the self-study report. The following 3 examples describe situations that could be viewed as challenges to meeting this criterion. 1. The program's diversity goals are inconsistent with its geographic or institutional setting. 2. The program lacks a diversity action plan. 3. The program's steps at increasing diversity are intermittent and uncoordinated. Student advising, services, and support is the 3rd criterion within the student standard. Please pause the presentation to read this text. This criterion addresses the various kinds of support a program provides its students to ensure their success through graduation. These resources should be clearly tailored to a program's goals and objectives, as well as the composition of its student body. For example, a program that features a large number of part-time students may structure its support differently than a primarily full-time program. The program should provide clear evidence that it is providing sufficient support. This might include summaries of its academic advising, career guidance, internship, and job placement programs. The program should also provide evidence that it publicizes both opportunities and award criterion for financial aid. The following 3 examples describe situations that could be viewed as challenges to meeting this criterion. 1. A program handles academic advising informally, depending on students to make independent arrangements with a faculty member of their choice. Students subsequently report that advising is inconsistent or doesn't provide clear guidance. 2. Advising responsibilities are unequally shared, or the advising program relies on a small subset of faculty. 3. Students report a lack of available information regarding opportunities for financial aid, internships, and post-graduation employment. Student engagement in the profession is the 4th criterion within the student standard. Please pause the presentation to read this text. This criterion addresses how a program provides its students with resources and experiences outside of the academic environment. The program should strive to provide students with a range of activities that put them in direct contact with professional planners or allow them to work in a more professional setting, as this is a critical element of students' development as professional planners. This may include support for student groups or internship and work programs. Programs may also support student attendance at public meetings and student participation at APA conferences or similar planning-related professional events. A program should particularly encourage student connections with APA and other professional planning networks. Practical planning studios and community-based projects are also effective ways for students to engage in the professional world. In its self-study report, the program should provide evidence of its professional engagement efforts. The following 3 examples describe situations that could be viewed as challenges to meeting this criterion. 1. Students report a lack of support for attendance at conferences or professional events. 2. The local APA chapter reports a lack of engagement by a program's students. 3. A program does not consistently provide students for opportunities to interact with professional planners. This concludes the module for PAB Standards 2 students. On behalf of the PAB board and staff, we want to thank you for completing this module. We invite you now to return to the PAB website to complete training for this module by taking a short quiz about the information in this presentation. You will receive your score on this quiz, and PAB staff will record your results. Thank you.